Hello, everyone, and welcome to the other side of the news for July 3rd, 2020. We're looking at the Wall Street Journal today, and a few things catch my eye. In diverse North Charleston, where most police are white, a black police chief tries to bridge the divide. As recruiting black officers proves challenging, Chief Reggie Burgess focuses on building ties in communities to address long-standing tensions. And that's pretty much what should be going on every place. But now we have another little aspect here. You notice it says how difficult it is to recruit black people for the police force. You can't complain about the police force and then not want to work on the police force. I mean, this is a community effort. Yes, I think police department should, at some point be close to reflecting what the community looks like. But that means that people in the community have to volunteer. People in the community have to be trained. People in the community have to put up or shut up. So I applaud this, but also, we as black people need to, step up to the plate and do our part. So I think that's very interesting. Now, there's also an article about defunding the police more in New York City. Again, let's remind some folks. In 1992, when Giuliani became mayor, Dinkins or 20 years of Democratic mayors, there were about 2,900, I don't remember. There was more than 2,000 people a year murdered in New York City. Giuliani, with the police force he had, decided that they were going to stop this. And basically over the next 20 years, that murder rate went down from mid-2500s down to 250. Most of those folks are black folks, people. So 250 folks were killed 20 years later. A year. That's a year. Let's not talk about rapes and aggravated burglaries and muggings. No. Giuliani and Bloomberg made New York safe. And now they want to defund the police in New York? These people are idiots. And people who vote for them are idiots. There's nothing else we can say here, folks. Okay, let's look at this now. A new chapter in fraught ties between the president and his spies. Intelligence officers find challenges in keeping a prickly Trump informed of worldwide conditions, current and former officials say. President Trump's combative relationship with U.S. intelligence agencies has made it difficult for officials to speak candidly to him or the public about national security threats throughout his tenure, particularly those involving Russia, according to current and former officials. Listen, this was obvious from the beginning. This is Trump's weakest part. He has too thin a skin. He only wants people around him to tell him what he wants to hear. And the reality is that's why we haven't been tough on Russia. We really haven't been tough on China, and in terms of security. And people have figured out that if they want to keep their jobs, they got to only tell him what he wants to hear. And that's why we had that big article in the newspaper a few days ago and last week about the whole NSA saying, the Trump, that the Russians didn't pay a bounty to have Americans killed in Afghanistan, and all the rest of this, intelligence agencies said they did. Again, Trump finds people who are yes men, and yes men are not effective. And what the sad thing is, Trump's going to find himself not getting reelected when he keeps on listening to, when he keeps on not wanting to listen to people who actually, know what they're doing, So I'd like to see the president reelected because I like his policies and I don't like the Democratic policies. But, Trump has to, do his part too in this little piece of the pie. Okay, let's see what else we got today. Okay, we have this little part. Let's take a look at this. How COVID-19 surge shifted to the South and West. I'll tell you why it shifted. I go out now, nobody's wearing a mask. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, pandemic's over. Business as usual. And so nobody's wearing a mask. The reality is a mask protects, basically, a mask helps stop people who are sick from spreading it to others. So even though I wear a mask going outside, if nobody else is wearing a mask, it's not much protection. Everybody needs to be wearing a mask. And until we sort of get the reality of this, we're not going to have business as usual. We're not going to all go back to being employed. We're just going to sit around our homes and stare at the TV or something. Wear a mask. I'll just comment on a few things here. Some senators want to go nuclear to pass Democratic priorities. Democrats' improved prospects for winning both chambers of Congress and the White House in November have reunited calls within the party to end the Senate filibuster, lowering the bar for passing all legislation to a simple majority. The reason the filibuster has lasted the 200 years it's been in existence, or 200 plus years it's been in existence, is because having a majority is simply not enough sometimes, especially on contentious issues like Obamacare, for example. The fact that it was passed with no Republican votes made it a target from the very beginning, good or bad. And that's been a problem. One thing about the Senate and its filibuster, it means that basically 2/3 of the Senate has to vote to move on to take up an issue. I think that's a good thing. This is another reason why I don't want to vote Democratic. I don't want the Democrats in charge of the House and the Senate and the White House, because it'll be a disaster. But then I don't want the tyranny of the majority either. Just because they have 51 votes in the Senate doesn't mean it's a good idea. So I like the way it is. We need to keep it the way it is. The systems work very well. And our Constitution was made so that they talk about in the Constitution protecting the minority in the country. And I don't mean black people, yellow people, green people. What I mean is minority views. That it's not about the majority that's deciding we can do what we want. That's why many Americans immigrated from Europe in the first place, because that's what Europe was. Europe was the majority, whether with the religion, whatever it was, religion, beliefs, whatever. They said, this is the way it is. You don't like it, leave. So they left. They came to America. Well, our Constitution was written so we would not do the same thing. That's very important. So things like the filibuster are very important. I mentioned about de Blasio faces calls for deeper NYPD change. Yeah, de Blasio. You took over a great city and you're just going to screw it up. Don't get me started, He's going to make New York unlivable again. Oh, let's just take a quick look at the opinion page. Reopening. A strong jobs June report shows gains from ending the lockdowns. Today's leftists announced the Declaration and Constitution as pro-slavery. It's not a new argument. Say that again. Name basis for heroes, not traitors. There's some logic to that. An honest conversation about race. We can't have an honest conversation about race, because if we say anything about race, you don't say the right thing, you're going to be pilloried, whether it's through social media or wherever it is. So please, it's very difficult to have any conversations in this country nowadays. It's confrontation wise. Much progress has been accomplished under the cover of hypocrisy. That's certainly true. Well, listen, folks, thanks for watching today. Listen, have a safe weekend. Have a great 4th of July weekend. Enjoy yourself. Be safe out there. And listen, let's try to treat others as we'd like to be treated. Thank you for watching The Other Side of the News. Until tomorrow.